Alrighty, welcome back to Musical Connections. This is NextIIConnect. I'm Zach Snow, and joining me right now, he is one of the co-owners of Hurricane Music, with artists such as Baraka, Nerve Shack, With Violet, Rosemary Lawton, among others on their roster. They are set to have a huge 2024, and they are up for Management Company of the Year. Joining me right now is one of the co-owners. I spoke with Matt Dines back in October, and that aired about back in December. So joining me right now is the other half of Hurricane Music, my buddy and my man, David Shears. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, Zach. How are you doing, man?
Thanks, and I'm doing great. Thanks for coming on Next to Connect with me, and congratulations on your ECMA nomination.
Yeah, and congrats to you. And it's been a while. I was way back with you. We were working together when you started the podcast. And
oh, yes.
It's great to see the progress that you've made in the last year.
You were out with me in Corner Brook when I was just like shooting all by myself on my handy cam.
Yeah.
And we got managed to get myself a Canon camera for it too, and I got some help with me today too. So I got to thank everybody who got me here to where I am right now. And fingers crossed for Media Person of the Year, but it's pretty tough competition. But we did really good when it comes to the nominations. 52 is incredible, and despite the fact too that some of the categories that were there previously are not there this year.
I didn't even notice that. So we'll have to discuss that further later.
Exactly. But right off the hop here, David, how do you feel about being up for an East Coast Music Award, especially for Manager of the Year, where in the previous years you've really been on the other side with MusicNL, putting all these nominations forward for MusicNL awards and even East Coast Music Awards?
It's great. I had a post online. I got nominated for an ECMA in 2015 as part of my band RocketRocketShip for Rising Star Recording of the Year. And then, things that happened with bands. A year later, the band broke up. And I didn't think I'd ever get back to, seeing my name on the big screen at the ECMAs. So, it's very exciting for me.
That's wonderful, buddy. Now, I want to go back to your early days in music. Of course, I've known you for your work you've done as programs manager at MusicNL, and now as the co-owner of Hurricane Music on the management side of things. But your real first start was in RocketRocketShip, but we'll talk about RocketRocketShip later. But what got you into music in the first place, David?
Great question. I think I would point it to when I was 14. I was in my bedroom, and my brother's room was kind of across the hall, and he had an Iron Maiden CD, and he was listening to it, and I was like, what is this music? And then I got really into Maiden, and particularly really into Steve Harris, who's the bass player of Iron Maiden.
Oh, wow.
Loved his style, his songwriting, and because of that, I was like, this is what I want to do. So when I was 14, I got a bass guitar from the Shears catalog for Christmas that year, and everything kind of fell into place. I was super fortunate where I picked up a bass and I started to learn a little bit at home, but I find when you're playing at home, it's not the same as playing in a band and playing with other people. It doesn't have that same excitement. But then that spring, there was a couple guys in my school who were starting a punk band, and there was literally nobody else that played bass in the town. So they were like, can you play in our band? And that's kind of how I met Paul Brake. So Paul and I started playing together when we were 14, and we still play together now.
Oh, yeah.
However many years later. This is 17 or 18 years later now.
That's insane. Now, the band that you ended up doing, coming up with Paul Brake in is RocketRocketShip. Now, tell me a little bit more about how RocketRocketShip really came together.
Late 2000s makes me feel so old. RocketRocketShip started, I was 18, and the whole idea of the band when we first started was just about having fun with your friends. And it just very much had that pop punk kind of vibe. We never, we took it seriously in that we really wanted to excel at what we were doing, but at the same time, it was never stressful. It was just fun. And when we started the band, we knew immediately that we wanted to move to St. John's because we were both living in Rocky Harbor at the time. And there's not much of a music scene on the West Coast in terms of venues to play. And there's more now than there was back then.
Oh, yes, 100%.
But back then, we used to play at the Back Lot, which is Grenfell's campus cafeteria. And that was really the only spot that we played. So St. John's seemed like such a big mystical place, and we moved there that fall and kind of like found people. I don't know if you remember, there used to be a forum website called Blue Cafe.
Oh, I've heard about it just from friends that he was hanging out with.
So we discovered Blue Cafe, and that's where we found our original drummer and second guitarist. And it's funny, like a lot of people don't know this, but RocketRocketShip also started as a ska band.
No way.
So we had a trombone player and we had a saxophone player for the first month that we were a band. And then they both left, and we were like, okay, it's too difficult to find other players to play sax and play trombone, so we just continued on as a four-piece.
That's wonderful. So who was the original lineup? I know it was like yourself and Paul. Who were the other two?
Yeah, it was Sean Mugford was our other guitarist, and Jeremy Kelly was on drums.
Awesome. So how did that lineup of like Tyrone and Matt and Kenny Purchase all come to the fold?
Kenny joined fairly shortly after the band had started. Sean knew Kenny, and we were looking for a keyboard player, so Kenny joined, and then we went through several guitarists before we found Matt. And it's just a thing of, like, I was pretty brutal after we got to town and we were taking it seriously in terms of, like, if people didn't show up or they were late or things like that, I just wasn't willing to put up with it. So, we lost a lot of people that way because it's tough to be in a band and, we were all working minimum wage jobs and we were all struggling to pay rent and all those things. And every bit of vacation time we had, every bit of free time we had, we were working on band things. And that's not for everybody. But, when we got that lineup, when Tyrone joined and Matt joined, like, we had a really solid core of people who all wanted to do the same thing and believed in the same things.
That's wonderful. And that lineup really stood until about 2016 when you had your grand finale. But I want to go back to some of your favorite memories of playing in RocketRocketShip. So what's one story that really sticks out in your mind about the lasting legacy of the band?
I think the biggest thing was getting to play the Mile 1 Center when we opened for Marianas Trench. Just because, like, you go see so many bands play at that stadium, and you never think, oh, that's going to be me one day. And there's, like, little things, like, within that story that are funny, like, the stage was massive, and the cord that I had, like the patch cord plugged in my bass, wasn't long enough because I wasn't used to playing stages that big. So I was kind of like trapped. I couldn't like go around the stage.
Jesus, that's crazy, man. Now, once you had your grand finale, the band stopped playing together, but you guys are still like playing in a sense together through other means, through Hurricane Music. I mean, you worked on Texas Red's debut. And you had like Paul Brake playing drums, and then you had yourself and Matt work on the means of making the music, and then the management for yourself, and then Matt with the recording.
Yep.
Tyrone singing, and then Kenny Purchase did the graphic design. So how does it feel to still be working together despite the fact that you're not playing like as RocketRocketShip anymore?
It's great, and one of the things because when the band broke up, I remember like I called the meeting and we sat down and. I said to the guys, like, we can either, like, break up now and walk away and we'll all be best friends, or we can, like, keep, because it wasn't working. And I said we can keep, like, trying to push through, and maybe in 6 months we all hate each other. So I think, like, although you always have the, like, what ifs, what if that didn't happen and we kept going, where would we have gone? But now, like, I'm glad that we all stayed close. We all talk every week, and we work together on everything.
Pretty much. I mean, like, Tyrone, of course, has that Texas Red. Paul has Precious Blood on the go, and he plays in bands like he plays with Nerve Shack sometimes live. Yeah. And you and Matt have Hurricane Music on the go, and then Kenny Purchase does the graphic design for some of your projects. I mean, it's great to see because most bands would pretty much have bad blood towards each other and then walk their separate ways and never speak to each other again, or make up like years later. But you guys have managed to maintain a great relationship, and that's great to see.
Yeah, and it was tough. Like, the last few years on the road, there were times where it would be like, people wouldn't be getting along. But, we managed to push through, and like, Matt got married a couple of years ago, and we all stood in the wedding. Like, that's how close that we all still are.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And I believe you and Chrissy are married or something, or no?
Not yet.
Not yet. Haven't posed the question yet?
It'll be coming.
That's wonderful. But it's just great to see you guys are still like getting are closed, despite the fact that you aren't as RocketRocketShip anymore.
Yeah.
But the next journey you went on was with MusicNL. You became the programs manager in 2019, or actually you started there in 2019 as just a staff member, and they became the programs manager in 2020 during COVID. But I want to talk about how did you get that opportunity to begin with?
So when RocketRocketShip broke up, I decided, I got to go back to school. I got to do something because I was still working my minimum wage job, and it just wasn't the life for me. So I ended up doing the executive office management program at the College of North Atlantic, and it was kind of coincidence that as soon as I graduated, MusicNL was hiring JCP positions, and I was like, oh, great, yeah, I'll do that because it was a 6-month contract, and I was like, okay, I'll do that and then figure out what the next thing is. But then I got there, and I was fortunate enough to stay for 3.5 years.
Yeah, and in the middle of those 3.5 years, MusicNL collapsed within itself. And then there was that core group of people. I'm going to name yourself, Sherry Breen's one of them, then Amy House and Marlene Cahill. Both of them got the Unsung Hero Award for their work, bringing MusicNL from the ashes to where it is today, where it just reached 1,000 members, which is insane. But without getting too specific, what do you remember most about the position you were in then to get it to where it is right now? How do you feel about those times?
I think for me, I always try to look at the silver lining, which for me was the professional development that I got from working with people like that was incredible, and I would have never gotten it if MusicNL wasn't in the position that it was in. And it also led to me being able to stay and become the programs manager and just soak up so much knowledge from people who have been in the arts industry for 20 and 30 years, some of them.
Yeah, and you really became a much better manager at that because of that as well. And
Yep.
that's the reason why you are so good right now at Hurricane Music, because you've lived those experiences.
Yeah, it's tough times are the things that make people.
That's a great statement to make, man, and that's so true. Now, MusicNL, of course, just hit 1,000 members. So how do you feel about MusicNL right now versus when you started it?
I think they're in a really great position, and they're positioned very well to do even more and to be even bigger. And with Rhonda's departure and now Leonard at the helm, I think Leonard has a lot of skills that he can bring to that organization and a lot of great ideas that I'm really excited to see what the next 6 months is going to look like.
Oh, absolutely. I remember when Rhonda first started there, I was a little bit skeptical because she was a business-minded person going to the music sector. But once you think about it more and more, the music industry is a business because you're working with money each and every single day. And especially where MusicNL was in the position that it was in, to get it to where it is now and financially thriving and also, having the membership that it does, it goes to show that with her at the helm and plus yourself and Sarah Newell and Mariana Castro and Manige and Chanel at the time as well.
And you as well.
Oh, yes. I was there from August to November. And that was actually with the government's T-Car department. It really goes to show that MusicNL has come a long way, especially in the past 3 or 4 years that you were there, and especially now with the changes that have happened.
And the thing is too, even Rhonda has a business background, not necessarily a music industry background, but you've got two of the biggest players in the music industry on the board in Nigel Jenkins and Mary Beth Waldron.
Oh, big
they're
time.
both brilliant and know the music industry inside out. So there's lots of support that she could always get from that side of things.
Yeah, that's a good point to bring up too. Nigel Jenkins and Mary Beth Waldron. I mean, Mary Beth has been on the board for the longest time, but Nigel recently just became the chair, 3 years ago. But it's really good to have that board support as well. And also got shout out Taya Morash and Derek Sturge as well for all the work that they put in. Plus David Smallwood and Leonard Pecor, who's not on the board anymore, who's now the interim CEO of MusicNL. It's great to see that, and I can't wait to see what they have in store for 2024 as we lead up to, of course, the Year of the Arts, Canadian Folk Music Awards, Harbor Voices, and I believe I said the ECMAs already. It's just so exciting.
Yeah, there's so much on the go. Yeah, it's a big year.
Now, of course, yourself, once you left MusicNL, you went on to start work at Choices for Youth, and now you're with Picture NL. But you also reformed Hurricane Music as a production/music management company. On January 1st, 2023, you officially became a company. So what was going through your mind at the time when you were thinking, maybe me and you, Matt, can put Hurricane Music together and make this into a company and make something special out of this. So what was going through your mind at that time?
So there was a few different things. Like one of the things when I announced that I was leaving MusicNL is there was a bunch of artists who were like, "Hey, can you manage us?" And I was like, I don't know anything about being a manager. No, I can't do that. But then, like, as I got home and I reflected upon it, and, I started working at Choices, which is a great organization. But, a month or so after leaving MusicNL, I was kind of like, I really missed that connection with the community and being involved in the industry. This is my passion. This is what I love to do. And Matt and I have just worked so well together for 10 plus years, and he was already doing all the production stuff, so that it just made sense for him and I to partner and form Hurricane Music.
Yeah, and you guys have really exploded over the past year or so. I mean, no matter where I went to, I've always heard your name, Matt's name, and the artist names, and just the list itself. With Violet was your first signees to the label, because of course your relationship there with Sarah, and they're just a top-notch band. Pete, Sarah, Matt, Spence, and Hunter. And then Baraka, really like one of your first pet projects, building from the ground up, was another one of your signees. And then Rosemary Lawton, who was recently at Citadel House, is now part of Hurricane Music. Ching Cha, Nerve Shack, Courtney Madison, like a really good, nice pop punk sound, very Avril Lavigne-esque for me. And some more artists that I'm forgetting the names of right now, but you can let me know right now.
Those are like, all of the like management clients that we're working with. But outside of that, like, I don't really turn anybody down if they want to have a like one-on-one consultation with me. If anybody wants to pick my brain and take my ideas for whatever they want, like that's what I'm here for. I just like want to see the industry in the province thrive, and I want to help artists.
Yeah. So this is my next question. What do you enjoy about managing the most?
It's just being part of the team, like and seeing people succeed. Like I get, so much joy, like when With Violet got that Iceberg Alley gig. Like I was just as excited as the band. Like when Baraka got placed on some Spotify playlists, like, I'm just as excited for him as I am as, he is about the project. So I think it's just like that connection and being able to like see the people you like and care for do well.
Yeah, and it really goes to show that, like, with all the work that they've been doing over the past year or so, you really care about your artists, and it shows, and, the work that they put out and all the recognition that they get. And especially for yourself, too, congratulations on getting the Manager of the Year at the MusicNL Awards. Matt Dines on Recording Engineer of the Year. You guys definitely deserve it.
Yeah, it was fun when three of us could get our pictures together.
Oh, yeah, it's Media Person of the Year, and then you have... So it's like a picture of like how it started versus how it's going.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, so we've come a long way ever since the COVID-19 pandemic, and I'm so glad we're out of that phase where we're not like masked up and we have very limited people. We can get together and have fun and have a good time.
Yeah, exactly.
So on that note, how would you describe your 2023?
I would say it was probably one of the best years of my life, which is a weird thing to think about because I spent my early 20s touring across Canada, and then my later 20s, like, thinking, oh, I'm never going to get to do those things again. You have that thing where it's like, oh, the best part of your life, the golden days are over. But it's not, because you can always have a good year, regardless of how bad and shitty the last 10 years have been. There's always the opportunity to start new. And last year was, I would say the best year of my life.
Yeah, and like if there's one thing that we really have learned here in Newfoundland and Labrador, you got to make your own opportunities as well.
Exactly. And, the thing that I look for the most, and I think this is really important for all artists, is when when I want to work with somebody, it's not, people have to have great songs, yes. And, but that's not the thing that I look for the most. I look for people who are dedicated and willing to work hard. Because I've seen a lot of really talented artists who are lazy. And you never get anywhere in this industry if you're lazy. This is a very difficult industry to make money.
Yeah, 100%. Like, you have all the talent in the world, but if you don't, like, back up that talent, you have really got to, like, work your ass off in order to, like, make sure that talent is realized.
Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah, that is awesome, and I'd imagine 2024 is going to be an even bigger year for you because of the year of the arts. There's a lot of things that are happening here in Newfoundland, or that's happening for Newfoundland and Labrador, as 2024 is being dubbed Year of the Arts. I mean, you got the Harbor Voices conference coming up. You have the Newfoundland and Labrador Folk Festival announcing that Emmylou Harris is going to be here. You have the Canadian Folk Music Awards coming here in April, and then the East Coast Music Awards May 1st to the 5th in Charlottetown. And it's going to be a really great year for Newfoundland and Labrador music. So what are your plans for the year ahead? And just further to that, are there any more artists that you have your eyes on that you want to add to your roster?
I would say I'm the busiest I've ever been in my entire life. So basically, well, not basically, every one of the artists on our roster are working on new music right now that will be coming out at some point in 2024. So that's going to keep me very busy. But to answer your other question, there's always, it's like I'm so busy, but every now and then you see an artist and you go, crap, like I got to work with them. Like it's so good. Like one of the artists that I'm really excited that, I've just been helping with like some grant stuff right now is back during Music Celebration Week. I was stage managing one of the showcases and I saw Kitchen Party play and I was like, wow, like they're one of the best bands I've ever seen live. And I've seen a lot of bands live.
Oh, yeah.
So, I immediately like gave them my business card and we've been chatting about like some grant writing and stuff. And they sent me some demos of stuff they're working on. And man, they're the real deal.
Oh, yes. I mean, their albums, Got Me Drove and No War to Rely, their energy is there in the albums, and it's even better live, too. Because Tyler, Terry Lynn, and Justin, they really bring it on stage each and every single night. And Justin and Terry Lynn are also part of the Irish Descendants as well.
Yeah.
So their youthful energy has gone, being the most energized for a band he's ever been in his life.
Yeah. No, they're great. And harmonies are just so tight live.
Oh,
like,
100%.
Like when I saw them, I was just blown away. Like I can't believe you guys aren't, headlining like big events. Like, and they do like traditional Newfoundland and Labrador music. So it's like they should be representing us across the country and across the world.
Yeah. So you think they should be at a level of a Shannon Canuck or a Rum Ragged even?
Yeah, and I think that they're kind of the next wave of that.
Oh, agreed. 100%. We're going to get to a song from one of the artists that you're representing on NextIIConnect in just a moment. But for people who want to find out more about yourself and where people can keep track of Hurricane Music, where can they go?
Yeah, I mean, Hurricane Music is on all socials. Our website is just hurricanemusic.ca. Feel free to reach out to me anytime if you're an artist and you have any questions or if there's anything I can do to help you.
Well, David, it's been an absolute pleasure to get you on the Musical Connections podcast after I think we're 64, 65 episodes into this, and you're finally on the podcast, but I just wanted the right time to get you on here, and now is definitely the right time. So David Shears, thank you so much for coming on NextIIConnect this week, and congratulations on all your success with Hurricane Music, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys got in store for the year ahead.
Great, thanks, Zach, and I'll see you in another 65 episodes.
Right? Thanks, Dave.